You're tuned into Recovery TV, the voice of hope, with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Discussions and information on addiction and mental health issues. Here's your host with today's guest.
Welcome to another edition of Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Narcan, please get it. Keep it in your car, put it in your purse. It saves lives. You can get it at CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, wherever, URI. Get it. It saves lives. My guest today is Vanessa Volz from Soldier in a House. And when you hear what's going on in Soldier in a House, your eyebrows will rise. So welcome, Vanessa, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's always good to see you, John.
So, Vanessa, I want my viewers to know about Soldier in a House and what you do on a daily basis. Soldier in a House and the work that I do is way up here right now. A lot of stuff is going on. So tell my viewers what Soldier in a House is all about.
Soldier in a House is a victim services agency, so we provide a wide range of supportive services to victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And we do so in a variety of different ways. The best way to envision our agency and our programs is to think about a continuum of support. So on one end, there's emergency services. So if someone is in a crisis situation or maybe can't go home tonight, we have an emergency hotline. We have 3 emergency shelters. We have a drop-in center where people can come in without an appointment, so we can help provide support if someone is in an emergency. And then we've created a continuum of support from that place of crisis all the way to permanent supportive housing. So permanent supportive housing on the other end of the spectrum is permanent housing where we provide a subsidy for the rent and we provide wraparound supportive services, and there's not a time limit on how long an individual can stay in that program. And then in between crisis and permanent supportive housing, we have transitional housing, we have rapid rehousing, we have wide range of supportive services including support groups, individual advocacy. We have clinical counseling, including in English and in Spanish. We have a legal program now, so we can help clients with family law issues. We have an HIV testing program. We can work with clients who have a disability and need to apply for benefits, Social Security benefits. So we provide a lot of wraparound support, and you don't necessarily need to have housing to access those other supportive services, but by far our largest program is our housing program. We have, between our rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, transitional housing, we have over 175 units that we own or lease, and that leads me to one other aspect of our agency, which is that we are a housing developer. So we're not only providing the supportive services, but we actually purchase, rehab, and then lease residential buildings to families who are impacted by abuse. We updated our mission statement in 2020 to start doing that work, and over the last 5 years, we have acquired 10 new properties.
Wow.
And we would like to continue purchasing properties so that we can develop more affordable housing for victims.
Wow, that was a mouthful.
Yes.
But, you know, we've known each other for a long time, so one of the things that really gets me is the human trafficking of these young folks. It seems like that is very much a growing population. I'll use that word. Maybe I'm not using the right word.
I think there's more awareness of it. I think more people know how to identify it, and we're more aware that it's a problem.
Right, and it's a continuous problem, along with abuse. You know, the numbers are rising, like the overdoses. They're all rising.
Right.
And to get people to think about these problems that are out there, it's a challenge. It's a challenge because obviously you're a nonprofit, I'm a nonprofit. We're always fighting for funding to buy properties, to put more families in. And my concern is too, when you look at the overall picture of abuse, it's just not only the victim, it's the family that goes along with the victim.
Right.
And if we had many conversations where you may get a call in the middle of the night, and Susie and her 2 kids or 3 kids need to be picked up, and the only thing that they come out of that house with is the stuff that they have on their back. So that's a real concern, especially for the children,
Right.
because they think that maybe it's okay to do something like that, but we all know it's not okay to do something like that. And thank goodness, thank God, that we have an organization like yours that can take these women and children and get them in a safe place, in a safe environment. Because, you know, when you hear these stories, when they come on TV, and there's a lot of them that don't even come on TV, that you have to deal with on a daily, monthly, yearly basis. You know, some of the stories are horrific.
Well, and I think that's a good point, the fact that not every victim will report abuse or seek help. So the numbers and statistics that we do have are just based on those individuals that seek help in some way. So we know the numbers are actually much greater than what we have.
How do we get people to realize or see the possibility of someone being abused, neglected? You know, is there tips? Is there stuff on your website?
Oh, in terms of what are warning signs?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yes. So, and I mean, that's where prevention comes into all of this, education. It's really important that we're providing education in schools, in workplaces, so that individuals and groups can identify warning signs if someone is in an abusive situation, and then they can provide accommodations or assistance to help them.
What about school children, high school children that are in abusive relationships? Is there something that, you know, parents who are watching this show may have young ones who may or may not be in a relationship that could be detrimental to their health?
Yeah, I mean, the rates of teen dating violence are astronomically high. A lot of teenagers who are dating do get involved in abusive relationships, so it's something for us all as a community to be aware of. It's why it's important to incorporate discussions in health classes about healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships. It's why it's important to talk about sexual assault and how to prevent and identify sexual assault. And it's important for parents to be aware and also for peers to be aware. So we know enough about teenagers to know that oftentimes they might tell their peers something that they wouldn't tell their parents or a teacher. And so it's important if a friend or a peer discloses abuse for that individual to know how to seek help.
You know, the other thing is, you know, we had talked earlier about, you know, my dad and what he said to me, you know, when I was of age to start dating. You know, it's very important for parents to talk to their children about stuff like this, the do's and don'ts of dating, and you know, and it's got to sink in, because if it doesn't sink in, this problem's not going to go away anytime soon. But I want to talk more about that when we come back from break. You're watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. We'll be right back after these messages.
And now back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, Kodak. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Vanessa Volz is in the house, and she's with Souls in the House, and she's the CEO. And thank you for joining us again, Vanessa. Always love to have you on the show because I learn something every time you come on about the day-to-day operations at Souls in the House. So there's been a lot of chatter about folks not reporting abuse. I know a number of police officers that will tell me the same thing, where they go to the house and, you know, but at least they get a little bit more in their toolbox where they can take somebody in to question them anyway. Are you full?
So all of our shelter and housing programs are full. We do have a waiting list that we work with. And then we do provide other supportive services. So if someone calls and our shelter is full, we can help them safety plan. We can connect them to other resources. Maybe they can join a support group. We do have a counseling program, although I think right this moment it might be at capacity. So there are other resources that we try to help provide to a victim. But unfortunately, it can take a while for us to provide permanent housing.
How often do you get phone calls?
We receive over 1,500 crisis calls a year.
Wow.
Right. Those are just from clients seeking help in some way,
Yeah.
not including business calls.
So folks may call the hotline
Mm-hmm.
and you're full. What happens to those people?
So, right, we can provide emotional support over the phone if they're in a dangerous situation. We can provide phone numbers to other agencies that might have availability. We can set up an in-person appointment the next business day to meet with them if they want safety planning. We can refer them to counseling or a support group or other services that we might have.
I just can't. And I know some of the ladies and men, because you have both,
Yes.
that they may feel a little bit taken back to tell you everything. And then you have to be like a detective and make sure you get the right information to help these folks. But I just have, when you tell me like my residential folks are full and there's not enough beds available, like there's not enough beds available for you. So how do we get past that to make sure we have enough beds? Funding. Obviously, funding is a big issue. We're all scrambling for funding. And how do we do that? Whether it's the Rhode Island Foundation or a bunch of other folks that have money. I know a couple of years ago, Bob Kraft was nice enough to give you a good chunk of money to help with that issue. But it's a constant battle of nonprofits that would help with people. People don't have the access to care, access to funding, access to food, access to permanent housing. It just keeps on going.
Yes, and unfortunately, the funding is probably going to get tighter and tighter. We're seeing less resources allocated from the federal government. Rhode Island certainly, as a state, has less resources. I know there's already...
But we don't have less problems.
No, we do not have less problems. Right.
We have more problems.
Right.
And with less money. So how do you stretch the dollar?
Well,
I mean, it's
can
hard.
only stretch it so far. I mean, it means a lot of people slip through the cracks, unfortunately.
Right. Right.
And it's a prioritization issue. I mean, as a society, we have to decide what are our priorities going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, providing basic needs to everyone is not necessarily everyone's priority.
Right. Well, we could see that from the top down. It's
Exactly.
not a
Right.
priority for,
Right.
for some people. Some people it is a priority.
Right.
But ultimately, when you have all these moms and dads with children, and they don't have the basic necessities to survive, and they're at your doorstep on a daily basis, a weekly basis, monthly basis. There's only so much you can do, and it's hard to go home. As I say, it's hard to go home every night knowing that you may have missed one, or you may have missed two, but you have to do the best that you can, day in and day out.
Right. And know that you're making a difference. I mean, we know that we are providing life-saving support.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So, it's when you look at the issue as a whole, your issue, my issue, some people may say, well, they're only doing it because they need to do it. No, you just hit the nail right on the head. It's a basic necessity to get kids in a safe environment, their moms or their dads in a safe environment, not to be in an abusive situation day in and day out. You're not teaching the children any good coming out of this, but when they see it on a daily basis, you see some of the stories on TV. They're horrific. The father ultimately takes the life of a mom in front of a child. Where's that poor child going to be in 10 years?
Well, right, that starts to create a cycle of violence where you grow up witnessing violence, and that it becomes normal for you, and so you repeat it either as a victim, or you experience it as a victim, or you continue it as a perpetrator.
Tell me about the classes that you have, the interaction you have with the group settings.
Support groups?
Support groups.
Sure.
Right. How is that handled?
So we have advocates that work in small groups, usually 5, 6, less than 10, depends on the group, but a small group that meets weekly normally, and it becomes the same group of people that get to know each other. There can often be a lot of support provided when victims realize that other people have experienced abuse as well. A lot of victims experience isolation as part of their abuse, and they feel like they've done something wrong. They feel like their situation is the only kind of situation like it. So a lot of times it can feel very empowering for victims to share experiences with others and realize that others have been through other situations that may not be exactly the same, but comparable in different ways.
Do you find when you have like a 5 or 6 person group that they latch on to one another and to become friendly with one another?
That can definitely happen. I actually started my work in the domestic violence movement as a volunteer support group facilitator. This was years ago. And what you do find oftentimes is that the members of the support group, they start to support each other. They start to coach each other. They start to root for each other. So that's another advantage of a support group, is just starting to build that community that a lot of victims have not had access to. A lot of victims really have not had anyone they can talk to about the abuse. No one has understood what they've been through. Sometimes victims aren't believed even by their own family members. So to have the validation by others can be really powerful.
We're going to take another quick break, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. You're watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. We'll be right back after these messages.
And now back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, Kodak. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Vanessa Volz is in the house, and she's with Soldier in the House. Vanessa, thank you for coming on today, and thank you for what you do, and thank you for trying to make it safe for all these men and women that are in this situation. I want to first talk about your website, how people can donate. It's going to be coming up to the end of the year. If you haven't made a donation to a 501c3, you are the one I want them to donate to.
Oh, thank you. Yes. We do have a website, sojournerri.org, or if you Google Sojourner House RI, you'll come up on our website. And we have all kinds of information there. We have information about our programs, information about how to sign up to volunteer, and certainly information about how to donate. And yes, this is a great time of the year to donate. We receive a lot of donations at the end of the year. A lot of people feel a little more charitable, have bonuses that they might want to give to other agencies. So yes, we can use any and all
help
donations.
the men and women and the children.
Yes.
Especially around the holiday season. So I want to thank you for what you do. I'd love to have you come back on because you're one of my favorite organizations that I like to do business with, especially human trafficking, abuse, and the list goes on. So thank you very much for coming on today.
Well, thanks for your support. We appreciate it.
All right, and next week, folks, my guest will be Linda Hurley from Kodak. She's going to be on with a new location that they have, and coming up following is the Kodak Live, a fully integrated healthcare system. Have a great week. If you see something, say something.